Welcome to Brand Lover, honest, real, and lively conversations for flourishing entrepreneurs and budding business owners on a mission to cultivate a heartfelt brand that connects with their purpose-driven mission. My hope is that you walk away feeling inspired and refreshed with a weekly takeaway in your back pocket that you can apply to your life or business. Let's chat about rebranding. It can be a very daunting thought because there are so many different things to consider, and it's usually quite a big investment, not only because of the work that you do with your brand strategist or brand designer, but also the flow-on effect. So if you've been in business a number of years, then you will have already made investments into things like your marketing collateral or your gift wrapping or your packaging or your business cards or your flyers, all that sort of thing. So the thing, first and foremost, that often stops people from rebranding is the fact that it's just so overwhelming. So they feel like they've done so much already, even though in their heart, they know that rebranding is the thing that's going to help them to move into the next era of their business and attract more like-minded clients or customers. It's this overwhelming feeling that everything's just too much, and they put it off and they put it off and they put off. And what happens is they become more and more separated from their brand, which creates this feeling of disconnect. So I'd just love to shine a light right now on the fact that usually by the time you start to get those nudges that it's, that you want to rebrand or you think about rebranding, it's probably already overdue for a number of reasons. And I'm going to share 7 of those reasons or 7 signs that it's time to rebrand, bearing in mind that the sooner that you can bring your brand into alignment with the true trajectory that you are heading in, the faster your brand is going to grow, the more confident that you're going to feel in your marketing and presenting your brand and sharing your website and collaborating with other brands and wholesaling your products. All of those things comes from being able to show up and say, here is my thing. It's incredibly professional, and I would love to work with you with that confidence. So if you are wondering if you're ready to rebrand, and you tick any of these boxes, then it probably is. So the first one is that your business has evolved considerably since you started out. So if you're operating under a business name and a logo design that perhaps was a template logo or something that you purchased off Etsy or made yourself in Canva, and these things don't reflect how you actually help people or where you're heading, then alarm bells should be ringing. Number 2, maybe you initially crafted your brand on different foundations or your vision has evolved. This is not uncommon, particularly in the first couple of years of business when you're first finding your feet and you're learning which type of customers you like to work with. You're ready to niche down. You're ready to actually, put that claim in the sand, that put your flag in there and make your claim, stake your claim. If your brand personality doesn't align with your values, your goals, or your true dream customers, not only are you wasting time on your marketing, it's going to be much weaker than it could be, and potentially you're also maybe making excuses for not marketing because you feel so disconnected to your brand. So number 3 is that your brand is just old, it's stale, it's outdated. So many brands I see were designed around trends or fads of the time. And many of my clients come to me with brands that they thought were really cool at the time, but then all of a sudden they're looking like everybody else or everybody else is looking like them. So once these fads or trends fade and they're not popular anymore, all of a sudden they're a bit naff, like they're a bit dated, like they're not cool or vintage or retro or any kind of vibe. They just look old. So what this does is it also just sort of ages the impact of your brand. It's kind of like, oh, they're done. So your brand should be timeless and confident in its own skin to make a splash. And I was talking about this with one of my clients just recently. We were talking about visual direction for her brand, her new brand, her rebrand. And she was saying that she is drawn to a particular style of illustration, but she was concerned that it was just a trend. So what I do in my work is actually avoid trends and fads for that particular reason. I don't take any notice of design predictions or anything. I do the research for my brands, and I do visual research based on what is going to be attractive to their audience and make them feel confident in the image that they're projecting. So, number 4. Unfortunately, this does happen. Perhaps you've had a rough trot. Maybe your brand has developed a stigma or a less than desirable reputation. I'm not going to go into too many details about how this can happen, but if your reputation is tainted, maybe it's time to reset and start fresh. Maybe you've made some mistakes in the past and you're struggling to fix them. Maybe a Band-Aid solution is not going to cut it this time. Maybe it's just time to wash it all clean and start again. So number 5 is, well, maybe the message that you're sending is like dirty pond water. It's murky, it's unclear, it's just confusing. I've said it so many times that confused audiences don't buy. Like if they're confused or overwhelmed with what you're offering and they don't quite understand how you help them, they're not going to stick around. They're going to head straight to the person that has the clear message. So the actual branding process can light the way to clarity in all of your messaging, not just your visual brand, but in all of the aspects that you are that you use in your marketing. For example, your copy, like your brand voice and the language that you're using, and your imagery style and the consistency in that. Okay, number 6. You need to keep up with the Joneses. So let's say your main competitor just had a brand refresh, and they've just come in with this incredible marketing strategy, and they've done this massive launch for their rebrand, and they've captured a fair big chunk of the market, perhaps even lured some of your loyal customers away. It's time to fight fire with fire. So you can actually do better, be better, and brand better. So use that as motivation to up level on a completely new level. Find a new aspect, or what am I trying to say? Oh, what's the word? I can't think of the word. Brand, in your brand positioning, just think of a new unique stance that you can find confidence in your brand positioning, and use that to elevate your brand and punch these guys in the face. Because you can actually do that, particularly if if your brand isn't up to scratch, if you know that in comparison to this competitor it's like chalk and cheese. Okay, so finally, if you are introducing a new product or service to your suite, one of the most confusing things for a business owner is introducing a new product or a new idea or a new service that's not exactly in alignment with what they had previously been offering. So by going through the branding process from step 0, by zooming out on the brand as a whole, you can actually figure out how it fits into your existing brand and how it's going to make sense to your customers, and how it's just going to be seamless, how you can get them excited about it, and how it actually looks. So you might not actually need to go through a full rebranding process and change everything in your brand, but perhaps you need to restructure about how your customers are perceiving your brand and how this works in their customer journey. So how did you go? Did you tick any of these boxes? And if you did, I would love to hear from you, because I am currently taking branding and rebranding bookings from April 2023. And if you would like to have a chat with me about your brand direction, head on over to my website, rachelwriter.com, download a success kit, book in a chat, and I would absolutely love to get on the phone and help you to become clear about what your potential next steps could be to keep moving your brand forward. So thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for listening. If you loved this week's episode of Brand Lover, take a screenshot of wherever you're listening and share your biggest takeaway on Instagram or Facebook, and don't forget to tag me. I'd love to give you a shout out and thank you personally. Also, feel free to subscribe and leave a review to help the Brand Lover podcast reach more heart-aligned entrepreneurs just like yourself. Thanks again, and I'll see you next week.